Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Naturally Beautiful and Optimal Wellness Summit. My name is Elizabeth Engen. I am your host, and we are brought to you by Empower You, Jenny Halligan. Today, our guest is Karen Dubs. She is the owner of Flexible Warrior Yoga, and she's a yoga teacher, and she's also a health coach. And she really believes that there's a ripple effect. She really believes that there's a responsibility in teaching and sharing her knowledge. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Elizabeth. I appreciate it.
Well, I am so excited to get to know you better and have you share with everyone. Karen's got a very exciting story to share. First of all, Karen, can you let everyone know, what does optimal wellness mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorite topics. I have had my own health struggles over the years, and we can talk about that a little bit more later. But optimal wellness to me is just being the best version of ourselves. I think we get so, stuck in this mode of stress and one foot in front of the other, and just taking time to practice self-care and, doing things that make us the best version of ourselves so we can really do what we're here to do in this world. That's what optimal wellness really means to me.
Awesome. And I would love to hear your story because I think it's pretty amazing. You have had a bout with Lyme disease. You really come back from that, and an autoimmune disease as well. Would you mind sharing your story with us?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And really, it's been a long journey. I mean, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease close to probably 18, 19 years ago. So it was a long time ago, before it was the epidemic that it is now. And it went undiagnosed for a couple of years, which is why it was such a problem. So if you catch Lyme disease early, it's less of an issue. And if it's undiagnosed and in your system longer, then it becomes more and more of a problem. And that's unfortunately what happened to me. I didn't really ever see a tick bite, by the way. So just heads up. And I'm always telling people, I know they're just little bugs, but they will really wreak havoc on your life. So protect your animals, protect yourself, protect your kids. Because it was undiagnosed for so long, I ended up with an autoimmune disease as well, which is called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And both of those together were undiagnosed for probably about 2 years together. So I couldn't really wash my hair without feeling like, I would wash my hair, like my arms are tired for washing my hair. The doctors, I was in my 20s at the time. I should have been like vibrant and healthy. But I was really, really struggling. And when I was finally diagnosed, I was diagnosed with the Hashimoto's first. And Hashimoto's is autoimmune thyroid disease, by the way. The theory was that the undiagnosed Lyme was in my system for so long that this autoimmune flare-up happened. And so that's when I got the Hashimoto's. And, my brother was a type 1 diabetic as well. And that was really, and that's an autoimmune disease too, which I didn't really realize. I would have loved to have known earlier that type 1 diabetes and autoimmune thyroid disease are both autoimmune endocrine disorders, and they're related. And had I known that, I think it would have helped me move the diagnosis along a little faster. But it was a really, really bad time in my life. And again, I was in my 20s. I was actually in the fitness industry. I've been in the fitness industry for 30 years. I started when I was 17. So I was, in the fitness industry, like supposedly healthy and well, but I was like struggling just with survival. So of course, what do you do when you're struggling with fatigue and issues? You eat a lot of sugar and you drink a lot of coffee, right? That's and you go from doctor to doctor to doctor. And so that's what I was doing. I was, really working really, really hard, drinking a lot of coffee, eating a lot of sugar, and my health was just down the tubes. Like I was a disaster. So even after I was diagnosed with Lyme and Hashimoto's, I was on antibiotics for 7 months straight for the Lyme. And I couldn't function. I was such a mess. Doctors, I must have seen 30 doctors within a 10-year span. I mean, there was nothing anybody could do except for they would try to put me on more medications. You need this painkiller, you need this antidepressant, you need this sleep medication, you need this, you need that. But it wasn't until I changed my diet and the way that I managed my stress and looked at life in general, that finally things started to turn around. And it took me over a year to start to really turn the corner. And now I think I'm pretty healthy. I'm pretty good. I'm 48, and I feel better at 48 than I did at 28. So there's no question. And that is all because of yoga and self-care and diet, for sure.
Well, you absolutely look beautiful. I would not have guessed you are 48 years old. You're a beautiful lady. And would you consider yourself, Karen, like cured of Lyme disease?
You know, that's a really hard question. I have heard two different schools of thought on that. I know that one school of thought and some mainstream doctors say that absolutely you're cured, and that's that. It's not in your system anymore. You went through 7 months of antibiotics. But then there's another school of thought that's like, no, it's a chronic thing. It's like, you know, other bloodborne pathogens that stay dormant in your system and can flare up. And I can tell you that when I don't take care of myself, when I allow myself to really get stressed out, or I don't practice self-care, or I eat really bad for long periods of time, or stay out late and I don't sleep, and all of those things that, you know, if I don't practice what I preach, in other words, I will have a flare up, and it will feel exactly like it felt, you know, 10 years ago when I was full on Lyme. So it's hard for me to say if that's the Hashimoto's flaring up or if it's Lyme flaring up. I don't know, because I had them both together. But I can tell you that every bone in my body will hurt. I will have such deep fatigue. I will have flare-ups of, you know, like skin issues, and just everything will go awry when I don't take care of myself. So I can't really say if I'm cured of it or not, but I can tell you that no matter if I am or not, if I don't practice self-care, all bets are off. Like I'm back on the downward spiral if I don't take care of myself. Yeah. And it's okay.
I hear you.
Like, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm like, okay, you know, I really feel like, at this point, you know, the reason I'm a health coach, the reason I'm a yoga teacher, and I wrote a book, and I do all the things that I do, is because of this. It was not a good time in my life. It was a horrible obstacle. It was a horrible challenge. But I also feel like it's in a weird way a blessing, because it's allowed me to, you know, I have 30 years of education in the fitness and health and wellness industry, but that one thing gave me an education that I would never have. I wouldn't have compassion and understanding and be able to help other people the way I can without understanding. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
I do know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. It gives you that perspective to be able to relate. And, you know, studying books and all of that is one thing, but when you feel it in your bones and you're, wow, this food is medicine is a serious thing. Food is absolutely medicine. No question.
Well, I totally agree with you. That is exactly why I'm putting on this summit for, you know, educational purposes. And I really think that the people that go through things like this really learn the most. So I'm interested in hearing about nutrition. Are you completely off of sugar, or are you on a certain, do you eat a certain way? Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. I would love to say that I'm off of sugar, but I'm not, nor am I completely off of gluten. And with an autoimmune disease, I really should be 100% gluten-free, but I'm not. I'm 99% gluten-free. In fact, I just had gluten like 2 days ago, and I get like an ulcer on my tongue if I have gluten. So it's like, oh, note to self, you really shouldn't be having any, but you get exposure in trace amounts. And, you know, in my book, I talk a lot about several different dietary theories, from paleo and vegan and across the board. And, you know, my business is called Flexible Warrior, as you mentioned, and I'm all about the fact that flexibility, being flexible in mind, body, spirit, is definitely an attribute in many ways. So I really think that being flexible with your way of eating is very beneficial, because it's not always what we eat. I don't think it's not always what we eat. It's how we eat, why we eat, you know, the mindset, you know, and we're in a time where everyone's so stressed out and on the go. And so they're eating, not only are they eating bad choices most of the time, but they're eating on the go. and they're feeling guilty. They shouldn't be doing this. This is bad. This is, this is good. This is bad. We label things. So I like to just allow people, give people freedom and flexibility. Like, you can have what you want. I'm big into 75% of the time, eat quality foods, fuel your life force energy. We call it the prana. In yoga, we call it prana. So prana just means life force energy. So if you think about it, if you go to eat and you think, does this food fuel my life force energy, or does it maybe drain me? Coffee is a great example. I know there's a big, people are addicted to coffee, right? And I just led a group through a challenge last week, so this is fresh in my mind. So during this challenge, we got off of 100% off of gluten, sugar, dairy, alcohol, and coffee for an entire week. Everybody was off all of those. So guess what happened? People had headaches. They were like, but then by the end of just 7 days, they were soaring. They were feeling fantastic. If you have a green smoothie, that is very fueling for your life force energy, instead of a coffee on the go, stressed out, driving to work in traffic, then you're taking that opportunity and just doing a switch, and you're fueling your life force energy with it. So to answer your question, I'm not really into any specific diet. I'm really more into making it work for the person. I believe that, here I am, Hashimoto's thyroiditis and Lyme's disease, and struggle with fatigue and that sort of thing. So I eat the way I eat because it works for me, but everybody's different. I'm very much into the bio individuality. Yeah.
I've heard that from a lot of our experts too, and a lot of people have said that, intuition is very important.
Yeah, I believe intuition for sure. I mean, we even I just did a juice cleanse last week with part of the group that I was leading through this cleanse, and everybody wanted to know. It's so funny because we talk so much about the intuition. They want to know, they each get 6 juices a day, right? There's a beet juice, there's a carrot ginger, there's this, there's that. They have to know what order, what do I have, what juices at what time. And the person that owns the juicing cafe and myself were, you know what, trust your intuition. It's okay. Like, I'm into the third eye chakra. Are you familiar at all with yoga? Maybe some of the listeners are, but third eye chakra is right here between the eyebrows, and this is the home of intuition. And we've really sort of lost a lot of touch with that, like trusting, listening to your inner voice, trusting that you know what's best for yourself. But sometimes it's really hard because it's just, life is hectic and we get stressed and we just want someone to tell us what to do, But sometimes it's better if you could just sort of step back and breathe and listen to your body's intuition, because I really believe that our body tells us everything we need to know. But it's just, are we willing to stop and listen and make changes in our lifestyle rather than just popping a pill, because that's the easy way.
And it doesn't work.
Doesn't work, right? It works in the short term, maybe, if you don't get away with 101 side effects. I always say, you change your diet, you start practicing yoga and you change your diet, guess what the side effects are? You're going to feel fantastic. Like, that's the side effect. You're not going to have this 101, things. Now, sometimes, illnesses need disease. In fact, I have to take thyroid medication for the rest of my life because of the Hashimoto's. So my thyroid was so destroyed by the time we actually diagnosed it that I have to take medication. And then it's a little, I gotta admit, it's a little bit of a bummer for me. I try to think of it as a supplement instead of a medication, because my thyroid doesn't function anymore. So I need it. But it's, I don't even take an Advil. I really don't even, it really has to be bad for me to take like a pain medication, because I want to go to natural cures. I want my body to be able to communicate with me. I think the blocking the pain messengers is not the answer. If you have a headache, you probably need more water and you might need a nap for a lot of times. That's the first intuition, but everybody else is like, I don't want to pop an Advil, which is okay. It's not, I guess, the worst thing, but it's not the best thing either.
I agree. Can you tell us a little bit about I'm interested in you talked about the juice fast. Is that to get rid of the toxins, or why is your whole group doing that?
Yeah, well, I actually, for myself, never do a juice fast. I tried once, but my blood sugar, I'm a type O blood type. I don't, I'm sort of into the blood type thing. I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't actually encourage, a lot of the people that I work with are very athletic, and they're exercising and they're on the go. So I don't really always encourage a juice fast. It's just really different for everyone. So, but this specific group, nobody really did a juice fast. The program was called the Spring Supercharge. We incorporated 4 to 6 juices a day, along with a lot of just super clean, healthy foods to jack up your life force energy and to supercharge your spring. So that's what that was about. I know several people in the juice part, and like I had a big group, and half of the group incorporated the juices and half the group did not. So the people that incorporated the juices, I always say it's like plugged in, charged up. If you take your cell phone and it's like in the red zone, it's like gonna die and you're like devastated, right? Because you're like, oh, my phone charge is gonna die. Then you plug it in, and can you still hear me?
I can hear you now. I think I'll just cut that out, that little thing.
Okay. Where should I pick up?
Start, I'll ask you about, I'll say 3, 2, 1, I'll ask you about a juice fast.
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1. So Karen, can you tell me why your whole group went on a juice fast, what the benefits are?
Yeah, sure. Actually, my whole group did not go on a juice fast. It was really more like half of the group. And I actually don't really encourage juice fasting for the majority of my people. That's not really my thing. And I think it's very beneficial for a lot of people, but it's not really something that I specialize in at all. I had my group actually incorporate the fresh juices to increase the prana, the life force energy. So they were adding it into a diet full of raw fruits and vegetables and really clean foods in general. And they were just adding the juices in addition to that. So it wasn't really a juice fast. It was more, and I might have said it wrong. I don't know what I said earlier, but it was really more to add the nutrient density in, and replace. So it was all about taking out the garbage, making, just clearing out the garbage and adding in all the superfoods. So I'm a big superfood person. So the juices were all just to increase the nutrient density in the diet and replace, the not so good stuff. Out with the crap and in with the good stuff. Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling me that, because I did go on a juice fast. It was supposed to be for 48 hours and I cried. I couldn't even make it 24 hours.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not for everybody. And I don't know what your blood type is. And, everyone has different theories on things. I know for me and my sister, we both have blood type O. And if we do a juice fast, it's just no good. It's a blood sugar mess, and it's not effective for me. But I'm very intuitive, and I just listen to my body. I was like, you know what? These juices are awesome. I love them, but I need food too. In moderation, so you have some really clean, healthy foods. Everybody felt fantastic. I mean, not to say for the first day, they were cursing me a little bit day 1, day 2 when they were coming off of their coffee, right? But the cool thing about it is that they didn't realize that they were so addicted. They were used to their coffee in the morning to get them started and the red wine at night to wind them down. And instead of that, we were doing green juice in the morning and sun salutations, yoga sun salutations. And at night, I was having them take an Epsom salt bath and do meditation instead of the red wine. So, it's just good sometimes to clean the slate. It's just good to sort of hit the reset button, and, then maybe if they're drinking coffee again, they're just having less,
Good to know. And yeah. I am O positive, by the way. So is there anything else? I've asked people about that. Do they say for certain blood type to eat certain things?
Yeah, I mean, you should really investigate a little bit more. The blood type O is the oldest blood type. And so that's really kind of sort of what they call the caveman blood. Been around since the beginning. And so in theory, and I'm not saying it's, the definite. I mean, I sort of consider myself, I'd love to be a vegan, by the way. I would love to be a vegan. I just can't do it because I'm blood type O. So if I try to survive on vegetables and fruits alone, then that's the problem. And having an autoimmune disease, it's not great. But blood type O should technically, if you go by the blood type diet, is meats, vegetables, berries, nuts, and seeds. High quality fats. I mean, we know hopefully at this point, fats are not the enemy. Quality fats like avocado and coconut are very healthy for us, like the 80s during the fat-free stage. That was just terrible, right? So fat and sugar, I mean, fat and salt are really not the enemy. It's the sugar that's the problem. So anyway, yeah, blood type O, you might want to check it out more, but yeah, incorporating good quality meats. We want to do the grass-fed. We want to do the organic as much as possible. The cage-free, free-range eggs and all of that. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, good to know. And there's some believers and some non-believers. So it's interesting to.
Yeah. My dietary theory, more for me, myself, what I coach people through is I stick through the anti-inflammatory diet and I incorporate superfoods. So anti-inflammatory foods in general, trying to minimize the coffee, sugar, alcohol, dairy, and add in superfoods. And when I say superfoods, it's not really always, I mean, I don't think, and it's different for everybody, but I'm talking about just real food. Just eat real food, JERF, that slang term, right? Like just eat real food, focus on, get your sweet potatoes, your high quality fats. You can add in extra superfoods like spirulina and chlorella and hemp seeds or chia seeds or whatever, but anti-inflammatory diet in general really can be so healing for people. It's amazing.
I love that. And I really want to hear about, I know in your book you talk about willpower versus Chillpower. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, the business, the Flexible Warrior, is really, that's what it was founded on, the balance of opposites. The warrior is like the person who's got to challenge themselves for sure, because how to create the best version of ourselves or optimal wellness? How do we get there unless we're willing to get a little bit out of our comfort zone and challenge ourselves? So that warrior mentality, but the flexibility being so critical because the resilience and the balance and the self-care are also important. So it's just two opposites. The same thing with willpower, Chillpower. Like willpower is do hard things, get out of your comfort zone, persevere, just do things that get you from where you are to where you're going to be. And then but the Chillpower is like the missing element, I really think. Like most people, if they're warriors, they're used to pushing themselves, but so few times are people really, willing to sit still and relax and recover and surrender, and just practice self-care. And it's really the Chillpower is like letting go. So it's always never give up is the willpower and the warrior, and always let go is the flexibility and the Chillpower. So it's the balance of two opposites. And in yoga, we always say you need two wings of a bird to fly. So if you're all about crushing it all the time, the wheels are gonna fall off at some point. But if you practice the self-care, take care of yourself, do yoga, stretch, eat well, chill out, then that's the balance. So that's what I try to get people to do. And most of the people, sometimes people are a little bit more to Chillpower and they need a little more willpower. That happens. But most times people are crushing themselves, whether it's at work or physically, or both, and they need a little bit more Chillpower. Yeah.
Do you feel like that for your own recovery process? Do you feel like your mindset and the Chillpower was really what helped you get better?
Absolutely. What a good question. Absolutely. Yeah. It was when I finally stopped trying to, more is more and bigger is better and push. When I finally listened to my body and really heard it, really listened, then and surrendered, like, okay, what do you need me to do? What are you trying to tell me? And then at that point, and getting off of medications and things that were sort of masking, we say the Band-Aid approach, like that's not fixing the root cause of why I was so sick. But yeah, chilling out and really listening to what the messages that the body's trying to send. Yeah, is absolutely. Chillpower is was definitely the missing element, because all the doctors in the world and all of the forcing and shoving and pushing, that wasn't going to fix it, Yeah.
My story is very similar as well. I went to see a lot of doctors and whatnot, and yeah, it was kind of a mystery for a long, long time.
Yeah, it really can be. And it's tempting to want to go to coffee and sugar and food in general just to because you're in survival mode. You're just like desperate. Like what I just want to get through. I need to go to a meeting or I need to do this or I need to so you're like, I gotta drink the coffee. What else am I gonna do? I used to go through bottles of Excedrin because I had horrible migraines. And not only Excedrin, 2 Excedrin and a thing of coffee. That's what I would have. And you know what's so interesting? Now that I cleaned up my liver and hopefully, hopefully cleaned it up from all of that crap that I put in there, I don't have the seasonal allergies even that I used to have. Like all of the things, the acne, you know, I was just a disaster. Every system in my body was a disaster. It's unbelievable. But you know, the dietary changes were the one thing I can truly say that turned it around. The yoga was an important part of it, but I think the yoga philosophy side, because not everybody realizes the physical poses in yoga are one thing and they're awesome to strengthen your whole body, but it's the what's between the ears that really changes, you know, your mindset and allows you to, you know, just embrace where you are, because it can be really it can just be terrible. It can be when you have a chronic illness, you just feel like you're never going to get better. So it's hard. Yeah. And I really empathize with people that are struggling with that.
I totally understand that. My own story is that for 5 whole years, I would work really hard during the week, and then on the weekend, I would be in bed the
Yeah.
whole entire weekend, and then it would
Right.
go on for 5 years.
Oh, that's terrible. I know. And people won't understand it. Like, I'm very lucky. My husband is super supportive of me. But there were years where he wasn't quite getting it either. Like at this point, we've completely evolved, but he was like, why can't you just go out? Why can't you do? And I'm like, I am dying and I'm dying. It's all I can do to just get through the day. And I'm still sort of like that. And you know what? I'm okay with it now. I gave up drinking alcohol about 8 years ago. In fact, not about 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I gave up because I turned 40 and I was like, you know what? I am sick of feeling like crap. And when I drink, I feel like crap. And in fact, it was so bad that, you know, I would, because it makes people really uncomfortable. If you don't have a drink in your hand, other people are like, why aren't you drinking? What's wrong? Blah, blah, blah. So I would carry a drink around, right? And pretend that I was drinking, like, you know, I'm taking a fake sip. But then I would go to the bathroom and I would pour my drink like down the sink because, and then I was feeling like, this is just so ridiculous. Why are you doing that? So then, you know, once I turned 40, I was like, you know what? I'm done drinking. Now, once in a while, I'll have a sip of wine or whatever, and I'll order a drink. I'll be all like, oh, I'm going to order a drink. And then I'll drink like this much. And I can't even get it down. It just, you know, my dad was an alcoholic and he had a lot of liver issues. He died when he was 50 years old. My brother had type 1 diabetes and he died when he was 42. And I was like, you know what? Drinking is no good for me. It's okay for some people, moderation and all of that good stuff, but not for me. So I think it's just really, really important that everybody just really listen to what their own body is telling them and be okay with it. Who cares if other people don't like that you're not drinking? I don't know why it's a big deal, but it is. Yeah.
Well, and I hope you stopped carrying around the drink, pretending.
I did. Now I'll just drink a bottle of water. Well, my friends all know now, but you know, they all get it. They don't even, but you know, I think if people knew how, you know, when you were in your 5 years and you're in that black hole, if people walked in that and they felt what you felt, then they wouldn't question it. I always say, like, if you're a diabetic or if you have cancer, and you're drinking a drink at a party, people are going to be like, why are you drinking a drink? What's wrong with you? You know? But if you have an autoimmune disease or Lyme's disease or chronic fatigue or something, people can't see it. They don't understand. So they think that you're normal. So you're just not drinking because, you know, you don't want the calories or you don't want, I don't know what. But it's not about that at all. It's about like, literally makes me feel terrible. So why would I do anything that makes me feel terrible? It's just dumb for me. I got to practice what I preach here. So alcohol was just one example of something I was like, and coffee. I let that go a couple years ago, and that was hard. That was harder for me to give up than alcohol. Coffee was, because I was so tired all the time that at least for an hour I would have energy, but then it would just send you in this downward spiral so quickly. But coming off coffee was miserable for me. I probably tried 5 times before I could finally let it go for good. But it was not good for my adrenal glands, for sure. And again, just like drinking alcohol, I'll have like a half a cup of coffee every now and then now, and it's okay, but it doesn't make me feel good. Green tea and different things make me feel way better, but it's the withdrawal that's like miserable, right?
Well, and you're over it though.
Yeah, thank goodness I am. Yeah.
I did want to mention, I actually wrote down, you dedicated your book to your dad and your father and your brother, and you said that life is short and health is everything, and I think that's just so powerful.
Yeah. I lost them both. They were both very young when they died. And like I was saying earlier, having Lyme disease, having Hashimoto's, losing people that you love, these are all not fun things, but they can be opportunities to embrace the power that we have. And I wish that my dad and my brother were still here. I'm so envious of everyone that has their dads and their brothers. It just, I was lucky that at least I had my brother was still alive when I got married, and he walked me down the aisle. So I was blessed to have that. But it's just, life is just so short. And if I could just say one thing, I would just be that when you make your health a priority, it positively affects everyone. And that is what that ripple effect is all about. And I just feel like that's what we're here for. If we're born, with these perfect bodies, but then we fill them with all this toxic stuff, then how can we be our best? And then how can we share that positivity with other people if it's being blocked? Yeah.
I love that. And you know what? We are all out of time, Karen. I could sit here with you all day.
I know, I could too.
I would love to hear how people can find you, find your book, follow you. Can you please tell us that?
Sure, absolutely. So my website is flexiblewarrior.com. And, I have a blog, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So there's links to all of those on my website at Flexible Warrior, but it's all at Flexible Warrior. And I have a YouTube channel too. So I post videos on occasion. And I run online programs too. So you can be anywhere across the world, really. I have had people participate in different parts of the country and world, because it's all online. That's the beauty, right? So it's yoga and superfoods. Superfoods and yoga are sort of my thing for my online programs.
So I'm just interested. Can you tell me about like your yoga programs online? Is it like a subscription, or can you just talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's not a subscription yet, although we are considering that for January 2018. But for now, they're typically short programs. They're a week. The next one that starts in May is 5 days. And then I'll do another one in the fall that's probably going to be a 21-day yoga and superfood thing. So yeah, you just get all the information on the member site of my website, and then everything just comes right to your inbox. So people love that, because then they can practice at home. Everyone's so busy. And I'm really all about like 10 minutes a day. So most of the yoga that I have people do, it's not an hour. It's 10 to 15 minutes. Because I feel like that's doable. Same thing with the recipes. Like if we keep them just really, healthy, but not overwhelming, give people a shopping list. So bam, you can print out the shopping list and take that to the store. So because I feel like that's a main obstacle for people. Everyone's just so busy. So the obstacle is time. And that's why I'd like to try to keep things short.
I love that. Well, I am absolutely subscribing. I'm down for 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay, awesome.
Well, Karen Dubs, thank you again for joining us. It was such a joy and pleasure to talk to you, and I can't wait to dive into more of your book. I have not read the whole thing yet, but it's awesome. And if you all loved watching and hearing about Karen, please subscribe to our channel and come back and watch 21 experts talk about natural health and optimal wellness. Have a great day.
Bye.